So, we'll start with the easy one. What's your full name?
My name is actually Mary Kathlyn,
Okay.
Kathlyn, Bab. And my daddy called me his little orphan Annie.
Orphan.
And Annie stuck. And I've gone by Ann all my life.
Huh.
There's people that don't even know. In fact, when my husband and I married, you should have heard the people out in the audience whispering when the preacher said, Mary Kathlyn Babb, do you take this man? They said, oh, man, she married the wrong man.
That's funny.
My husband and I met when we were 4 and 6.
Oh.
We moved on the same street,
Mm.
and we grew up together. And as a little young kids, I didn't like him, brat. And then when we got to be 14 and 16, he moved off to Green for a year, and he came back and he started dating my best girlfriend.
Mm.
And I looked at him and I thought, he ain't so bad after all. and we dated. He went into the World War II, and was over in Okinawa and Iwo Jima, over there. And all that time we were writing letters back and forth. And are you leaving? Are you trying to get out?
Yeah, I can do it.
Okay.
And we were married when we were 17 and 19.
All right.
So
That's good. So, when and where were you born?
I was born in Atlanta, Georgia.
Okay, Georgia Peach.
That's right. My daddy sold firefighting equipment, and we were over there. He sold a truck, and I was born over there. And when I was 6 weeks old, I came back to Dallas
Okay, so you've been in Dallas.
all my life until I moved to Canyon Lake.
Okay.
And my husband, after he retired from the fire department, we moved to Garland and stayed in Garland a while, 20 years, maybe something like that. And he had his eyes set on Canyon Lake. He just thought Canyon Lake was, and my brother lived down there.
Mm.
And we went down one weekend. We do things, just all of a sudden, like the Hummer. We went down to see my brother, and he came back and he said, there's a real pretty little small house at Canyon Lake, and he, down here, and he said, I wish you'd call and ask him what you want for it. He said, I'd love to move down here. And I said, sell our home and move to Canyon Lake. I thought that was too close to San Antonio. And we went down there and looked at it and bought it right there. Took 5 months and remodeled it, gutted it, did what I wanted to do it.
Yeah.
And so we lived down there at Canyon Lake. It's quite different from Dallas.
Yeah. So how long did you live in Canyon Lake?
At 19 for 19 years.
19.
19 years.
That's good.
And I was telling him I love the computer.
Mm.
And I didn't tell you, I got part of my college before I married. I took college courses while I was in high school. I was allowed to do that. You had to make certain grades, and I wanted to. And so I got some college courses, and I wanted a computer. I wanted to know how a computer worked. I didn't want to know how to work a computer. I wanted to know how it worked, plus programming and all that. And so I went back after I got my children grown, and he was still in the apartment, and I went to college. And he went at night getting his degree, and so I went with him. And I quit. He finished. I had babies.
Well, did you ever find out how a computer worked?
No.
Oh, okay. Just curious. You mentioned after your kids got grown. Let's talk about them for a little bit. How many kids did you have?
3.
Okay.
I have had a girl. I have a girl. She's still grown. She lives in San Antonio. And next was my boy who lives here. And he was a fireman like his daddy. And then I had, and incidentally, he was a twin and I lost the other twin. So I would have had 4. And then I had a boy, Joe, 2 years after Bill. That was my 3rd one. All 3 of my kids, I'm proud to say, got scholarships to college, or they wouldn't have got to go. The price of college down there.
Right.
And so the bad thing about it was, I don't know if you know where certain colleges are, but my daughter got her scholarship to Oklahoma Christian. Bill got his to Harding in Searcy, Arkansas. Joe got his in Abilene Christian. So they were in 3 different colleges, and both boys got basketball scholarships. And so when there was basketball games, my husband went one direction, I had to go the other. So
Oh, that's cool.
So
my
now-
daughter grew up, married, had 4 biological children, and adopted 4.
Wow.
That's cool.
My son, next one down, the fireman, had 1 boy, and the next one had 2 girls, the last one. And his wife left him and the girls, and he raised his girls by himself. So I'm proud of my children.
You got some good kids.
You should be. You should be. That's awesome. That's great.
So
That is
they
good.
left home, and of course, and my husband retired finally, fully, and he and I started playing in a bluegrass band.
A bluegrass band.
Yes,
What did you sing?
yes,
Yeah, I bet you did.
I did. I played the upright bass,
Wow.
and I played the mandolin, an auto harp, and a standard guitar, and a tenor guitar. That was my instruments that I played with the band.
You're just talented.
We played in the band, and we'd go to Colorado every year for 5 months. We had an RV, had a 5th-wheeler that we left up there. And all we had to do, all we had to do was just get in the car and drive out. And we would stay 5 months, and we played in the restrooms and the resorts and all that. And, you know, we played 6 nights a week. Had a good time.
What was your favorite song to sing or to play?
I had one, trying to think what the name of it is. I could sing it, but I couldn't sing it for y'all. But they were bluegrass. Everything was bluegrass.
Okay.
But every time we put on a program, which was 6 nights a week, there was always some people that had seen us and would come back. Unfortunately, they thought we was good, and we just kept our mouths shut. So that whole thing. And they would always come and want this particular song. So I got to the point where some of the songs I hated them. You know, you do them until
Playing
you.
so much, yeah.
Oh yeah. And so we did that and really enjoyed it. And then BMI came in and cut us off. And all we could play was songs that we had written, and you know, songs that were too old, and so we cut it down. And the last year or 2, and we played there for over 20 years. But the last year or 2, we didn't. We just would play if someone wanted us to do it for a party or something.
Right, yeah.
And we, as you were talking about, we retired. We didn't do anything but play up there, and
Yeah.
you know, we'd go up there when it was so hot down here, and my daughter would call and she'd say, "Mom, don't come home yet," and we'd stay up there until around first of October. Or we'd go in May.
That's good. That's a good time to leave. That's a good time to leave. Well, that's cool. So I'm gonna ask you some of your favorite things. If you have an answer, great. If not, it's
If
okay.
I can remember.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
Remember,
So-
I'm 91.
91.
I can always say that.
Well, I think you withheld your birth date, so
Yeah,
I
you
wasn't gonna press it. But yeah, 91. Okay.
I
I'm
know
thinking
that.
75, but
There you go. That's what I was looking too.
Yeah.
So, do you have a favorite car that you own throughout the years
Well,
besides the Hummer?
besides the Hummer, really not particularly that I can think. Whatever my husband bought, I liked it.
Yeah.
I drove
Fair
it.
enough.
I did have a large Jeep when he died. I sold my little car, the one I had just bought, and kept a Jeep.
Okay.
Still thinking that I was gonna. And, well,
No.
actually, I had a little Chevrolet Malibu. I sold it and bought the new car that I didn't keep it quite even a year. Wasn't even a year old when I sold it because I took one look at Ridge Road. I ain't gonna get on that stuff.
That's awesome. That's awesome. All right, very good. Favorite food? Favorite kind of food? Doesn't have to be a certain one.
I would say 2 years ago I would have given you a list this big. But right now I don't even like to eat.
Yeah.
They force me to eat. I never get hungry.
yeah.
And I mean, there's foods I like, but no favorites.
Okay. What about movies? Any favorite movies?
I have the North and the South on tape.
That's a good one.
And down at Canyon Lake, I have a deal that'll play it. And that to me was just one of the best movies I have ever seen. And so I bought the whole thing, and I've got it.
Do you?
Uh-huh.
That's
Have
good.
you seen the North and the South?
I have actually. Yeah.
Did you like it?
Yeah.
It's long.
Yes.
Very
There's
long.
a lot of it. There's a lot
Oh,
of
yeah,
it.
it's 2 hours each for each tape, and I had 12 tapes. So it's that long. You wear one, you watch one a night.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
that along with it is Gone with the Wind. To me, those were just super. They probably don't fit you all, at y'all's age.
Oh no, they done remastered them and
Yeah.
they look good. My wife still loves Gone with the Wind.
I've
I
seen it in the
do too.
theaters.
Yeah.
They went in and what did they call it? Did they call it Scarlet? The new tape?
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, and it just wasn't the same.
Yeah.
You know,
I told you to take my grandmother to lunch. We went and saw it. They released it in the theaters. It's been 5 or 6 years ago, but they had like a showing in the movie theater, so we went and saw it. It was definitely better in the theater than.
Yeah.
was it a real? Well, I saw it in the theater.
Yeah.
Was it a real? The real show itself?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
somebody playing Scarlet and somebody playing
Right. Yeah.
Red.
No, it was the original. So yeah, it was good. Pretty much everybody I've interviewed has said Gone with the Wind. So.
Well, it was a super movie.
What about? Oh, do you have a favorite childhood memory? Something that when you were growing up that you remember?
Well, one of the things I guess that I would remember more than anything was the fact that my grandmother and granddaddy always lived with us. When as I have said, my daddy, I've married a fireman. My daddy sold firefighting equipment, and he was gone so very much. And Mother met him at a fireman's convention. And he told Mother when he married her that he would never take her away from her mother. She was an only child. And he moved them in, and they lived with us. And I can remember wishing in the summertime, I wished I could go see my grandmother, and I had her right there with me. But I do remember her very much, having her there with me. And, my daddy died when I was 9, and my mother went to work, and my grandmother raised us. So basically, my grandmother was my mother.
Yeah.
In that sense, that was. I guess that'd be the favorite.
Yeah, sure.
I was too busy.
You was too busy.
Too busy. What were you doing? You were so busy.
Oh, I don't know. I went to work when I was 10. Back then they didn't have it.
Oh.
And I worked in a little 5 and dime store. And then I worked at the drugstore.
Yeah.
You know, as a young 10, 11, 12-year-old. So.
That's great. That was my next question, was about jobs. What your first job was, but you already told me. What was your favorite job you had?
The last one, the one I retired from, I retired twice.
Okay.
But I retired from a company called Camel Taggart. And they had owned 84 bakeries here in Dallas. I mean, through the United States. And I was secretary to the head of personnel. It was a busy. I'd never put in an 8-hour day. I mean, it was always 10 or 12 hours. Well, we were open 24. And I loved every day of it. Thoroughly enjoyed it.
Wow.
And then I retired, and 3 years later, I went to work as secretary to the counselors in a school in Garland, and retired from there.
You was always busy, wasn't you?
I was.
That's it still.
and trying to keep up with all the kids and grandkids and great-grandkids. You know.
That's cool. So, speaking of kids and grandkids, any advice you'd give the young people today?
Yes. Go to Bible class and church. Above all. And watch the company you're around with. You know.
Good advice.
Yeah.
What about for parents out there? Any advice for parents that are raising kids?
Oh, it's so hard nowadays because they're not allowed. They can't spank a child.
Can't choke 'em.
And I feel real sorry. For it. I would say wait, and if they misbehave, wait till you get them home. Then
And line 'em up.
Raising our children, it had started right then, just about the time they were needing the little Betty's beat. We couldn't spank them, or if we did, you know, you got to go to court and all that kind of stuff. So my husband said, well, we'll pick something that, you know, you do that, they'll remember it next time. Well, both my boys loved to spend the night at the fire station. Oh, that was just heaven to spend the night at the fire station. And they knew what to do and what not to do there. But they always wanted to go with their daddy and spend the night. And when they did something that really deserved a punishment, I don't mean some little something, but something that they did they knew not to do or to do. He'd say, you can't go with me to the fire station for maybe a week, 2 weeks, whatever. And that was enough punishment to keep them from doing it again. So,
Yeah, today you just take their cell phones away.
That's
You take their phones away,
Take the
and it's the
phones.
end.
Oh,
of,
yeah.
it's just the end of the world. I mean, they think that they're gonna die
I know I have grandchildren, and my great-grandchildren, and it's unreal. They come see me, and they've got them sitting everywhere, and they're running in between them,
Yeah.
Oh, my word. So, how can you, I can't really give advice. I feel sorry for parents.
Well, these kids, they don't know any different, right? You've seen all the changes in technology and where you used to have telephones. When you did, it was a party line, and you've seen those things, and they haven't. All they've ever known is, my phone's right here in my pocket.
You go sit down and eat, and just look at every table.
Mm-hmm.
And if they've got 3 kids to eat, each kid's got their own phone. And parents go out to eat, and they, instead of sitting and having a good conversation with your spouse, they're each on the phone. And it's sad. My husband and I used to look at that table over there, That was our entertainment, was watching the table. It was sad.
They're forgetting what matters.
Yeah, it really was.
So I mentioned you've seen a bunch of things. What's your favorite technology or biggest change that you've seen that whether it's, I don't want to profile it, electricity or run water, phones, television. What's the biggest innovation you've seen that you?
Oh my! At 91, I've seen everything.
You have.
Seriously, I've seen cars that are just unreal compared to what they were like when I was growing up.
You had to turn the little thing to start over.
That's what my granddaddy had. He had to get out there and do this, and that to the cars nowadays, it's unreal. And my oldest boy has one boy, Jackson. He's 10. His other grandparents, she's in a place like this. He's dead. Multimillionaires. Multimillionaires. And they gave him everything. On his birthday, in the middle of his senior year, they gave him a new pickup. When he graduated, 6 months later, they gave him another one, that sort of thing. Well, what do you expect of a child like that, They grow up with everything. And my husband said, by the time he's grown, Jack will give him an airplane, give him his own airplane. That's the things I've seen in the years, and it's getting worse.
Yeah.
Now, I'll answer your next question.
Go ahead.
Do I think that, maybe not the world, but let's say the states here are worse than they were as I was growing up? No. Just different. It's different. If you look at, just take the Bible, and I know you boys grew up in church. You take the Bible and you look at what they did and how they punished and all of that, and that's horrible. Some of it is worse than what we've ever seen. So I'd say no. There's no difference. It's just, it's no better or no worse. It's just different.
Understood. Okay. So, you brought up being in church and you brought up Bible study. Anything in particular about your faith that you want to talk about, or as far as, I don't want to put any words in your mouth, but your faith journey or what that looked like?
I grew up in the church. Never did. My great granddaddy was a preacher, and I didn't know. As someone told me one day, how do you get your kids to go to church? I said, they didn't know that they were not. They didn't know anything.
It was an option.
I never said to them, all right, you all get dressed. You got to go to church today. I would say, this is Sunday. That's all that was necessary. And if you start out with children like that, they're going to continue like that. And yes, I grew up like that. And then after I married my husband, and we always were active at church. He served as a deacon at the church, and this was our life.
Right.
And it still is. Tomorrow I have a friend from Canyon Lake come and spend the day with me. And that's where I form my friends. Now I've got friends here. I love Joyce and Ima and all of them. But I have to say my dearest friends have come from where I go to church.
So what would you say to people that don't believe that there's a God?
That don't believe?
Yeah. You know how the world's kind of...
Yeah. I talk to them and don't belittle them. Never, ever, ever belittle anybody. And if they're not going to church, or they say, oh, I can worship better out in, and I'll say, it's wonderful to go out in the woods or someplace and look at what God's done. Yes, it's wonderful, but I don't know what I'd do with my dear church friends without them, And if you'll notice, when you get sick or something, who usually is there to help you? Isn't it always your church friends? And I don't know how you live without them. But you never, ever belittle somebody, because you just irritate them. And if you don't, they're going to sit back and say, well, maybe she's right. You hope that they will.
Right. Just plant those seeds.
So.
All right. Anything else you want to share with? Want to make sure we capture.
Well, I feel like I've just talked your arms off, but
You've done a great job. That's why we're here.
but I've had a good life. I've had a wonderful life.
Is there anything you would like to do? Is there anything in this world that you still would like to do?
Do I have a bucket list? No, I do not.
You don't?
I still have a lot of things that I do.
Right.
So I don't have time to think of something else.
Yeah, I noticed you had you could sew everybody clothes in here. You got the sewing machine.
Yeah. I sewed. I had the embroidery machine. I'll have to tell you something about that in a minute. But I had the embroidery machine. I had the chance of going to Colorado and playing the band, not just in Colorado but other places. I had that, and I will have to tell you that I am an artist. I taught art, and I've got some of the art down there, and I had an art show when I knew I was going to move up here, and sold 30 of my paintings before I came up. And I still have my home down in Canyon Lake, and I need to go down there and have another show. And I have grandkids came in, and I gave them all paintings. So I've had a good life.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Well, thank you so much for your time. I'm going to turn the camera off. We can talk a little bit after that if you want to, but thank you very much for your time and for sharing your story.
Thank you all so much.
You bet.